in outrage. A young mother's life stolen in an instant despite doing everything she could to protect herself. Good evening, I'm Kelsey Gibbs. Her loved ones say she followed every safety step, but it still wasn't enough. 22-year-old Samara Smith is being remembered not only for how she died, but how she fiercely fought for her life and the future of her daughter. I spoke with her mother, her best friend, and her cousin who believe sharing Samara's story could save lives and spark change in the laws that might protect others from the same fate.
She loved that baby. Zariah was her whole entire world.
Those closest to Samara Smith say being a mother wasn't just part of who she was, it defined her.
When she became a mom, she picked that role up and she never dropped it.
Her friends say that as devoted as she was a mom, she was also a loving sister, daughter, and friend.
There is nobody in this world that can even compare to her or her character.
She went to the shelter. She went to counseling. She moved out. She moved in with her mother. They installed security. They followed every single step that every expert, every hotline, every well-meaning person had ever told a woman in her situation to follow. And on April 26th, Samara Smith was stabbed to death anyway. She was 22 years old. She had a daughter named Zariah, and in her final moments, according to the people who loved her most, her last act was fighting for that little girl. The man charged with her murder is the father of her child, a person she had already walked away from, a person she thought she had finally gotten free of. But here is the part that Samara's family needs you to hear. She knew the danger she was in. She did not ignore it. She did not stay silent. She did not do nothing. She did everything. And the system that was supposed to catch her did not. This is not just a story about what happened to Samara Smith. It is a story about what keeps happening over and over to women who are brave enough to try to leave. And it is a story her family is refusing to let the world forget. If you have been here before, you know we go beyond the headlines. And if you are brand new, welcome. This is the kind of story we exist to tell. Before we go further, hit subscribe and drop a like on this video. It costs you nothing and it helps us keep covering cases like Samara's with the care and depth they deserve. If this story hits you, share it. Because the more people who know her name, the harder it becomes for this to stay just another statistic. Alright, let me take you back to who Samara was before any of this happened. Samara Smith was 22 years old, and the first thing her family wants you to know about her is not how she died, it is how she lived. She was funny, genuinely make you laugh when you least expected it funny. She loved music. She loved dancing. She loved sharing her world with people, the kind of person who made a room feel different just by being in it. Her best friend, Braylon Pugh, described her simply, a kind, loving person with the most beautiful soul. Not the kind of words people reach for when they are performing grief. The kind of words that come out when someone is just telling the truth about a person they miss. But more than anything, more than the music, more than the laughter, more than anything else, Samara was a mother. Her daughter Zariah was her whole entire world. When she became a mum, she picked that role up, and she never dropped it. Those are the words of Samara's own mother, Brandy Shekel. And every single person who knew Samara says the same thing. Zariah was why Samara got up in the morning. Zariah was who she was protecting. Zariah was the reason she finally found the courage to do what so many people in her situation never managed to do. She decided to leave. The relationship between Samara and Cameron Walker, the father of her daughter, had become dangerous. The details of everything she endured inside that relationship have not been fully disclosed publicly. But what her family has shared makes one thing very clear. She knew she was in serious danger, and she was not in denial about it. Samara went to the Merriman House, a domestic violence shelter in Clarksville. She started counseling. She did not just call a hotline and hope for the best. She physically removed herself, moved in full-time with her mother Brandy, and together they took additional security precautions at the home. Think about what that takes. To pack up your life, leave the father of your child, move back with your mother, install security, sit through counseling sessions, all while raising a daughter, all while looking over your shoulder, all while being told that if you just follow the steps, you will be okay. We got security, We did everything that we were told to do, and it still did not work. Those words belong to Brandy Shekel, Samara's mother, said out loud for the world to hear, because she wants the world to understand that her daughter did not fail the system. The system failed her daughter. Samara knew she was in a bad situation, and the day she got out of it, the day she formally ended things, her family believed that decision would bring safety, that the hard part was finally behind them. They were wrong, and what happened next is something her family is still trying to make sense of. April 26th, Clarksville, Tennessee, Stillwood Drive. Police were called to reports of a stabbing. When they arrived, they found Samarah Smith with multiple stab wounds. She was still alive. She was rushed to the hospital. She did not survive. She was 22 years old. Investigators identified 21 years old Cameron Walker, the father of her daughter Zariah, as the suspect. He now faces a homicide charge. We got security. We did everything that we were told to do, and it still did not work. Those words belong to Brandy Shekel, Samara's mother, said out loud for the world to hear, because she wants the world to understand that her daughter did not fail the system. The system failed her daughter. The detail that Samara's family has shared about her final moments is not a detail that is easy to sit with, but it is one they want told, because it says everything about who she was. She fought for her baby until her last breath. That is what Brandy Shekel says about her daughter's final moments. A mother fighting for her child until there was nothing left to give. The same day she was killed was the same day she had officially ended the relationship. She had done it. She had gotten out. And it cost her everything. In the days after Samara's death, her family did not retreat into silence. They came forward. Brandy Shekel, Samara's mother, spoke with a clarity and a grief that is impossible to manufacture. She described what it means to be a mother who has lost her child, not to illness, not to accident, but to deliberate violence. She said, "I am a mum now that can say my child was murdered. He murdered my baby for trying to leave." Read that back slowly. He murdered my baby for trying to leave. That sentence contains an entire conversation that this country keeps avoiding. The most dangerous moment in an abusive relationship is not the middle of it. Study after study, case after case, confirms the same thing. The most dangerous moment is when a victim tries to get out. The act of leaving can be the trigger. And yet, the guidance given to victims, the systems built to protect them, do not always account for just how lethal that window is. What we are doing now, it is not working. It is just not working. Brandy Shekel said those words not in anger, but in exhaustion. The exhaustion of a mother who followed every rule and still buried her daughter. Best friend Braylon Pugh is grieving too. The friend who knew Samara's laugh, her spirit, the specific way she moved through the world, that friend, is now left holding memories and a demand for something better. In the middle of all of this, the charges, the grief, the calls for change, there is a little girl. Zariah, Samara's daughter, the reason her mother did everything she did, the person Samara was fighting for in her final moments. Zariah is now growing up without the woman who loved her most in the world. She will grow up knowing her mother's name from stories and photographs and videos from the people who refuse to let Samara be forgotten. Samara's family has set up a GoFundMe to help raise Zariah. If this story moved you, if you watched this far and you feel that weight, consider giving what you can, because Zariah did not choose any of this, and she deserves every possible chance. Zariah was her whole entire world. Now the people who loved Samara are making sure they become Zariah's world in return. Here is what I want you to think about. Samara Smith is not the first woman to follow every recommended step and still lose her life. She will not, unless something changes, be the last. She went to a shelter. She got counseling. She physically removed herself from the situation. She added security. She ended the relationship through proper channels. Every box that can be checked, she checked it, and a 21 years old man still got to her. So what is the gap? Where does the system break down? Is it in the enforcement of protective orders? Is it in the follow-up after a victim leaves a shelter? Is it in how seriously law enforcement responds when a woman says she is scared of someone specific? Or is it something deeper, a culture that still does not treat intimate partner violence with the urgency of a life-threatening emergency? Because that is what it is. Every single time. Samarah's mother said it plainly. What we are doing now is not working. That is not a political statement. That is a mother's verdict. And it deserves to be treated like one. I want to know what you think. What should change? What would have saved Samarah? Put it in the comments, because that conversation is exactly what her family is asking for. Cameron Walker remains in custody. He has been charged with homicide. A sentencing has not yet been handed down. The legal process is moving forward, and Samarah's family is watching every step of it. Brandy Shekel is raising her granddaughter. The grandmother who installed security cameras trying to protect her daughter is now the woman holding Zariah's hand and figuring out how to explain a world that took her mother too soon. If this story had you locked in from the beginning, if it made you feel something, you know what to do. Smash that like button and subscribe to True Crime Chronicles so you do not miss what is coming next. We cover the stories that matter with the depth they deserve. And the next one is just as important. Make sure you are here for it. Before I let you go, 3 things I need to leave with you. 1. Samarah did everything right. She followed every step, and she still died. That means the steps alone are not enough. So what is missing, and who is responsible for filling that gap? 2. The most dangerous moment in an abusive relationship is when a victim decides to leave. If that is true, and the data says it is, then why is that window not treated like the emergency it is? What would it look like if it were? And 3. Zariah is going to grow up. She is going to ask questions about her mother. What do we want the answer to those questions to look like? A story about a woman who has failed, or a story about a woman whose death finally changed something? Tell me what you think. Drop it in the comments. I will be reading. Samara Smith was a daughter, a best friend, a woman who danced and laughed and loved music and lit up every room she walked into. But most of all, she was a mother. She fought for Zariah until her very last breath. Remember her name. We will see you in the next one. Take care of each other.